right, welcome again. So excited about what I'm gonna learn in the next few hours. This is our first emergency preparedness workshop. My name is Kanika Sanchez. I am a member of the St. Luke Social Action Committee who hosts this event today. Our mission statement is to empower and educate ourselves through opportunities and events that inform us and encourage engagement in local, state, and federal socio-political events that impact our community. And everyone here is a part of our community. The scripture reference for our mission statement is Isaiah 1:17. Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow. May the Lord add a blessing to the doers of God's word. So, emergency preparedness isn't about fear. It's about confidence. Today, we are going to learn practical steps, and I cannot wait, that can help us protect ourselves, our family, and our community when the unexpected happens, because the unexpected has already happened to some of us. And so we're going to jump right in, and Tiffany and I are going to share how it's happened to us. And I'll kick us off. So Nashville, everybody knows, Nashville knows that emergencies can happen without warning. And I'm going to share just a couple of things that I personally have experienced. And I'm going to go all the way back to 2010 when we had that crazy flood. Remember Opry Mills flood? I mean, it was like 10 feet of water in Opry Mills. Well, I had a girlfriend who lived in the Inglewood area right behind Opry Mills. And her neighborhood was like a bowl. And I'll never forget helping her. And we stood at the top of a short hill, and there was a line of families waiting on a canoe to come get us days after the flood so we could go into her house, and the canoe officer said we had 30 minutes. And all we had was some big old plastic garbage bags. What do you take? Do you know where it is? 30 minutes, y'all. And it was not fun walking on the carpet, the smell and the scent. Are we really prepared? Do we know what it is that we need? Where are our pictures? Where are our important paperwork? And I'll bring it back to just recently in 2026 when we had the winter fern. Again, no power, no internet, nothing but ice outside and freezing temperatures. And I'll be honest, when my husband said, we're gonna go to a hotel, I was kind of excited because during that time it was the NFL playoffs and the Seahawks and somebody else was playing. I was like, oh, we can watch the game, because I was like, no power, we can't watch the game. Well, we went to the hotel, so I was like, yeah, let's go. Took the birds, took my grandkids, we all went 2 rooms, birds, dogs, all of us. But after that first night, and we realized we still didn't have power the next day. So we were almost 4 days without power, without water. I shouldn't say without water, but without power, internet, and heat in our homes in freezing temperatures. So we're going to learn today how I could have better prepared, how my families could have been prepared. So I'm excited about this event, and I'm going to pass it over to Tiffany to share her testimony.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Tiffany West. I too am a member of the St. Luke Social Action Committee, and I'm going to start off by piggybacking a little bit off of Tanika's story. So my 9 to 5, I serve as what is called a community schools coordinator at a local MNPS school. My job is to connect families and students with resources through the school. So after Winter Storm Fern, when we went back to school, our first order of business was to check in with our families and students and see what they needed. There were so many requests for coats. Y'all remember how cold it was, right? We talking below zero temps. It's like she said, ice and freezing outside, and so many requests for coats. So I'm like, what do y'all need? You need a coat. And this was from most of the requests came from my immigrant population students. So for some of them, we could say, well, this y'all's first time in Nashville, you don't really know, but some of them didn't have that experience. And also, we provide services during the holidays so that they can get gifts for their children. So I'm like, first order of business should have been a coat, hat, scarf, gloves, all of that, but I'm a mom. Everybody doesn't think like that, but still. So anyway, yeah, it was like they couldn't get food, their children don't have proper clothing. So you have to think about those types of things, especially, if you find yourself in a state where, or a condition where you may not have it one Christmas or one holiday season and somebody is offering to support you. Think about what you need. They may want that PS5 or whatever it is, the latest thing that's coming out. But do they have a coat? Act like a black mama and write down what they need. Give them what they need as well as what they want. Personal testimonial. Spring of 2005, first weekend in April, tornado swept through our neighborhood. There are 4 beings in my house. 3 adults, me, my mom, and my son. And then we have, at the time, she was a 1-year-old German Shepherd puppy in the house with us. Her name's Riley. So Riley knows that she cannot go into the den. That is off limits to her. But when my mom and I heard the sirens, while my son was at work, Riley is actually his dog. But he was at work, so it was me, my mom, and Riley at home. We heard the sirens going off. So the den is the lowest point in our house. We go down to the den. Riley's like, I'm not coming down here. So my mom and I are trying to coax her. I got Cheez-Its, trying to put them down the steps. She loves Cheez-Its. She does anything like that. She would step down far enough to eat the Cheez-Its and then go back up. At one point, she even ran back upstairs to her room. And I was like, never will I have to look my son in the face and say his dog got killed because we couldn't, in a tornado, because we couldn't get her to come downstairs. So I go back up to get her, and on my way to the living room, I see that this gigantic tree has fallen into our yard. In the process of it falling, it knocked down a power line. Did I ever get Riley in the den? I don't think we did, but we were all right. But, with the exception of the tree, we were fine. However, like I said, the tree knocked down a power line. This is the beginning of April, so it's not like it's snowing or anything outside, but it was freezing in our house once the power got knocked out. We didn't have hot water, of course, so it was a blessing that my aunt lives around the corner from us, and we were able to go take showers and take care of our personal needs over there. But those are some of the things you need to take into consideration when you're thinking about natural disasters or emergency situations. Again, we were blessed because we had friends and neighbors like Crystal who were able to get us a generator and other necessities. Still, if it had been a situation where, there's my mom right there. If it had been a situation where the whole neighborhood or everybody in the community had been affected or impacted by the tornado, they would have had generators to just freely give or help to just freely offer. They would have needed it for themselves. So we were blessed in that respect. But those are the types of things you have to keep in mind. Who are your people? Who do you have to think about in an emergency? What could the situation be? Yes, April, we think in spring, but like I said, it was cold in the house when the power went out because it was the beginning of April. And in the South, our weather is crazy, so you never know what you're gonna get. You gotta be prepared at all times. Yes. That's my personal testimony. Riley is now 2, so she made it through and we made it through. And the tree is out of the yard, and thank God it didn't hit any of our cars. And we're just grateful. So yeah, hopefully today you get some tips and tools to help you get prepared for whatever may come our way in the days and times that we're living in now.
Thank you, Tiffany. I want to welcome again everybody here today. Thank you so much for being here. I also want to tell you that you are live on YouTube and Facebook. So hopefully, Mr. Matthew of Santana Global back there will be able to get some of your beautiful faces. I won't spend any time telling you about the times when we were coming back on the day of the flood. And I never knew it was flooding until I got to my exit because I wasn't listening to the radio. Hello. And somebody told me, I think it was Mr. Eric, that said, even when you listen to the radio, depending on which station you listen to, you may not hear what's going on. Okay? Well, I'm so proud because today we have a wonderful team, okay? A team of experts on emergency preparedness. Emergency preparedness is not something that you go to school necessarily, but I guess you could, but not very many of us do it, right? So these folks have learned about emergency preparedness through their own studying of the topic, through their own experiences. And these are the folks who have gone further to learn what to do. Our first speaker today is Mr. Terrence Powell. Terrence, would you please stand while I introduce you? Terrence was born and raised in a loving environment in Inkster, Michigan, a suburban area right outside Detroit. He attended the Inkster Public Schools in Michigan and went on to attend college at Tennessee State University, where he later set up residence in Nashville. From there, he started his banking career at First American National Bank as a teller and moved on to South Trust Bank as a vault manager, and from there to Fifth Third Bank as assistant manager and then manager. He is still employed with Fifth Third Bank as a personal banker, by the way, he's my banker, at the Metro Center office, where he has been serving the North Nashville community and surrounding areas of Middle Tennessee for the last 25 years. Terrence had a tremendous life-changing experience after attending the Million Man March in 1995 in Washington, D.C., when 2 million Black men presented themselves as a sacrifice before God and took that pledge by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to clean up their lives and come back to their communities to make it a decent and safe place to live. Terrence took the pledge to heart and accepted the responsibility to do his part as a member of the Nation of Islam by assisting the local mosque, Muhammad Mosque number 60 here in Nashville, which was at that time under the leadership of Minister Majid Muhammad, and now Samuel X, by uplifting the underserved, the underprivileged, and downtrodden community as a whole. He has been married to his beautiful wife, Renee, going on 36 years now. They have 2 lovely daughters, Maya, and he parentheses Ginger's daycare baby. Those of you who may or may not know that I used to own and direct 2 childcare stations. His daughter, that daughter was one of my favorite family, and the other daughter, Terry. Thank you very much for being with us. Our second presenter will be Mr. Jermaine. Thank you. Our second presenter will be Mr. Jermaine Hines. He is a proud Nashville native, devoted husband and father of 2 sons who happen to be right over there looking very handsome. A graduate of Hillsborough High School's class of 1998. He continued his education at Volunteer State Community College, earning a degree in fire science in 2005. You see what I mean by people who go ahead and get the training and the education. Some of us just here, some of us take the time to go get the education. Dedicated to serving his community both on and off the job, Jermaine has spent years mentoring young athletes as a youth basketball coach, helping shape the next generation through leadership, discipline, and teamwork. Professionally, Jermaine served as an advanced emergency medical technician with the National Fire Department from 2016 to 2022. That's 6 years. In 2022, he fulfilled his lifelong commitment to public service by becoming a firefighter with the Nashville Fire Department, where he continues to serve with courage, professionalism, and compassion. Whether at home, on the basketball court, or responding to emergencies, Jermaine is known for his dedication to family, community, and the people he serves. And his wife, our key is here. Y'all may have heard of 400 Degrees Restaurant. We'll give a little plug. If you like chicken, that's where you need to go. Chicken, fish, shrimp, all that stuff. But anyway, Jermaine, thank you for being here. He's also a member of this church. Thank you for being here. Now I'd like to ask Eric and Kimberly Muhammad to be stand. They're dedicated members of the Nation of Islam who have shared more than 30 years of marriage, service, and leadership. Together, they have built a strong foundation centered in faith, community development, and empowering others through education and practical action. With more than 20 years of management and leadership experience, Eric and Kimberly have successfully applied their professional skills to both business and community initiatives. Kimberly Muhammad holds a degree in business management, bringing valuable skills in organizational leadership and planning. I think she's going to do 2 tables of great stuff here. You're going to see that. Throughout their years of service, Eric and Kimberly have helped organize and led numerous community-focused projects designed to uplift and strengthen families. Their voice has been instrumental in producing an annual prison reform gala, an event dedicated to raising awareness, fostering dialogue, and supporting efforts aimed at reformation, restoration, and positive change for those currently incarcerated. In addition to their work in prison reform, they currently help their local mosque with disaster preparedness workshops that equip individuals and families with resources to better prepare for emergencies and unforeseen events. These folks right here, not only doing this today, these folks go around the city and the county training people on what they're going to transfer today. That's very admirable. Their commitment to self-improvement and community empowerment reflects their belief that strong families and informed communities are essential to creating a safer, more informed society. Eric and Kimberly Muhammad continue to service and contribute to the betterment of their community. And I believe y'all have some children in the Okay, will your kids please rise, stand up. Yeah, there we go, there we go. Finally, but definitely not finally, is another long time associate. Well, oh, there we go. There we go. That's what you said. All right. Mr. Dimitri Cannon, so I said Officer Dimitri Cannon. Excuse me, he could retire in there, but he was, when I read about it, you'll know that he has not really retired. This is an association that goes back to my child care center days too. It's so interesting because when I spoke with Eric, he told me we wanted someone who could talk about civil unrest. Now, in these days and times of all this political stuff that's going on, we've got to think that at some point somebody's going to get upset, either in this country or in another country, and we don't know what's coming. So I spoke with Eric about that. He says, I got a brother, and who would know it was Dimitri? Dimitri goes back several years with me in my child care center. He used to teach Taekwondo. Taught it to my daughter. But let me tell you his biography. He's a retired Metro Nashville Police Department officer of 27 years. After the 32, okay. I put those 5 years on here. After the first 4 years of patrol, now 23 years specializing in gang prevention and intervention in national schools. Certified as a great GREAT instructor in 1996 in Phoenix, Arizona. Since 2009, he's certified as a member of the GREAT National Training Team. Also certified as a National Association School Resource Officer in 1996, achieving the highest level SRO of National Practitioner in 2008. A public speaker on the subject of gangs for the Metro National Police Department, and one of Vanderbilt University's virtual school presenters involving interactive video conferencing. The only officer from the state of Tennessee's original 1988 DARE officers and mentor training is still active in the schools. I'm sure y'all all remember the DARE program. was one of the first ones that came out to deal with school violence or group violence. Served as president of the Tennessee Dare Officers Association, graduating over 10,000 students. I said over 10,000 students. I didn't say 100, I didn't say 10, I said 10,000 students have graduated from this program. From 1973 to present, a practitioner of the martial art Taekwondo, a 6th Dan degree black belt master instructor, registered with the World Taekwondo Federation and Korean Taekwondo Association. Served as commissioner of the martial arts competition of the Tennessee Sports Fest State Olympics from 1992 to 1994. His beautiful wife Donna also used to teach Taekwondo at my child. And so Donna is here, Bruce Day as well. He and Donna are parents to 8 adult children and 6 grandchildren. They are committed to their family and their community. Thank you so much. Now, we're going to proceed with the workshop today. Is we're going to have each one of our presenters speak on the topics. Okay? So the first one is, what is an emergency? And how will you know it's an emergency? Okay. And kicking that off for us will be Mr. Terrence Powell, talking about communication systems outage, loss of phone and internet services.
Thank you, Jen. I want to thank Ms. Jen and St. Louis for giving us this opportunity. It's very vital and critical in this day and time. So give yourselves a round of applause for showing up, showing that you understand the vision, to get our community ready for what's to come. I want to thank you all for doing so. Just like here, you know, the communication starts at home. This will be considered our community, our base for our family or our church. But what about your home base? You know, what are you doing at your home base? Are we getting together to meet with our family? We should be operating that just like a business. Like my wife just came in, my daughter. But I am the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, right? She's the CEO, and my daughter and them, they are the stockholders. So in that meeting, we have to have a strategy. We have to have a plan. Is that right? And in that strategy and that planning, we have to make sure that we know what's going on at all times. This is like muscle memory. Why? Because if you do it over and over again, now is not a thing to where if you push and pulling, it flows. You stay current with the event. You stay current with the time. You know what's going on at all times. So why not let's start that at home with our children. Give them, everybody, when this thing goes down, should have accountability and responsibility when it happens. It starts from home. It starts with us communicating with them, having a plan. Because if we fail to plan, we plan to fail. That's right. So we have to put things in place. If we don't do it, then we'll suffer the consequences behind it. Let's be proactive, not reactive. A lot of times I've heard it's just by the grace of God that He's giving us these situations where it hadn't been long. It may have been long in the moment, but when you put that against how long it can be, He's given us. Look at COVID-19. You know, when we had to stay in the house, everybody started getting their resources together in the house. Am I right or am I wrong? Okay. Then, well, before that, think about the tornado. When that came through. See how His grace and mercy is still allowing us to try to get it together? Right. But what did we do? We went back to finger pop and having a good time. So then we had the ice storm, right? And me and my wife was like, oh, it flickered, you know, but it went beyond us and went, you know, and others suffered through that. You know, of course, my prayers are going up, you know, as we get it, but God is being merciful to us. He isn't allowing us to get it one more day together. And that's what we have to do right with this time. Let's be proactive. So today you may have to start your own little community development in your neighborhood, with your cousins, with your friends. Because when it goes down, people they want to get in the house, you may not have enough to feed everybody. And you have to think about that. So let's get everybody together now so we don't have to worry about it later. And as we went over the different types of disasters that's happening or will happen, These are the things that we want to be able, or we will be covering today. What about our evacuation strategy? What if we cannot get to the house? The first thing should be, where do we meet as a family if I can't get to it? If I say, well, we need to go to Brother, you all go to Brother Dimitri's house, that would be our place that we have to go to just in case we can't get to the house. So let's have that first. We have to go to a neighbor's house, even in the neighborhood. But if we got to get out of the neighborhood, where do we go with that across town? We have to look at that second point. You have the first alternative, then you have the second alternative that you may have to do. And then where is our backup? Where is the phone situation? I still got a Rolodex. Y'all remember the Rolodex? Because if the phone, something happened to the phone, what are you going to do as far as writing things down or having it? You may not have that time. So we got to get back to the basics to make sure that we got the follow-up to what we may not have when it comes to communication, because we relied on it for so long. Now it's like when you leave the house, what are you doing? You pat it out. I don't care how far you get. Me, I have to turn around and go get my phone. It's just something about it is not making you feel like, you don't have all the complete armor on, if you will. You don't have the phone. What about your emails? What about your password? All of these things need to be put up somewhere where you can get access to it, just in case everything goes out with the communication. And then in our neighborhoods, have we talked to our neighbors? Have we discussed what that looks like? We got to get back. I was talking to Sister earlier. We got to get back to where the village was. When we were without some, we would have to go to a neighbor's house to get a cup of sugar or to get a stick of butter. We may have to do the same things when it comes down there. How does that look like? What is Sister Kanika? What does she specialize in? What does your neighbor specialize in? See, God gives us everything that we need if we go out and check what we have. We looking for without what we should be looking for within our own communities, within our own households to complete what we need to have done. So this is my portion of it, Ms. Ginger. But I just want us to know that the communication starts at home, and you may have to be the microcosm or the macrocosm of what we're doing today to make sure that we can get our communities as well as our families in order. So with this, Sister Ginger, you want me to bring up Sister Kim?
I think Jermaine is next.
Brother Jermaine. Let's give him a round of applause. He comes out.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Basically, what he said, the first step in getting prepared is showing up for things like this. So it's already one step in a good way. I have something easy to talk about, fire safety. Everybody knows when you see a fire, just run the opposite way. People like me are trained to go in the opposite direction, to go towards the fire. So just use, basic common sense. If you see a fire or anything happening that you're not prepared for, go the opposite way. Thank you for allowing me to spend a few minutes talking to you about these topics today that affects all of us. Fire safety, whether we live alone or with family or in the retirement community. Understanding fire hazards can help protect our lives, homes, and the people we love. Today I will discuss 3 important areas: fire safety, smoke inhalation, and chemical explosions. My goal is not to scare anybody or alarm anybody. It's just to make sure that you're prepared for anything that can happen. I guess with fire safety, it's basically a lot of fires that start having from cooking. And if you're cooking, I know you're trying to multitask and scream at the kids and watch TV, vacuum, and do all sorts of stuff, go check the mailbox. Just try your best to not leave, any food unattended. That's the main reason that I'll say about 80% of our house fires start is from cooking. If you're cooking at 3 in the morning for some reason, like a lot of people do, they want that fried chicken or that fried fish fresh. They go lay back down and say, oh, I was cooking, I thought I was dreaming. A lot of fires start that way. So that's the main reason, just try not to leave, food unattended while you're cooking at home. There's a megaton of ways that you can be prepared for a fire. And I got an old chief, he's about 90 years old now, and he always says, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. I think my wife's mom has little quotes like that, and she'll say them, and I always mess them up. But that's a quote that I believe, and I've seen. You got smoke alarm, you got exits in your house, you got windows. You just be basically an escape plan if the fire happens. Be prepared for it. I know a lot of people got this furniture that like to block doors and windows with that. Try not to do that. A lot of people a lot of people have a lot of things that they want to hold on to and just put in this corner, hold on to this and put it in that corner, and before you know it, you got a whole house full of stuff. We call that a fire load. You want to keep that fire load down, because if a fire starts and you have a normal house, it might just burn the couch or the curtains or just burn the kitchen. But you got piles of folders around the stove and clothes and boxes. We call it a fire load. That makes the fire that more dangerous and able to build. So being prepared for fire, I'll talk about that. Also, smoke inhalation. And that's the weird thing. People think that if you have a house fire, a lot of people get hurt or pass away from actual flames, but the number one cause is actually smoke. A lot of people want to, go get the dog. A lot of people want to go check on that special thing you got. You thought it was here, and then it's there, and before you know it, there's smoke will overtake you. We're trained to get low in a smoke-filled environment. We're also trained to get smoke out of the home. So if you're not trained to do those things, just leave. I'm gonna go over some things about getting, I call it the go bag, where you can have important documents, spare keys, medications, list of medications already set in a bag. Keep it lightweight so you can just grab it and go. And that way you're not scrambling around the house looking for something and then smoke overtake you. The last topic I will be talking about will be chemical explosions. Now, I know a lot of old school people in here like to, clean the house up, listen to music. I know my mother, she used to mix chemicals, mixing bleach and ammonia. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Mixing all sorts of chemicals. And that's the main thing. And another thing is, how we have leftovers and we use the old Cool Whip bottle and we use the old container from, Outback. We put stuff in there. That's a killer too, because a lot of people might come over and spill something and try to go clean it. And yeah, exactly. We know what's in the bottle, but they don't. They get to mixing stuff and they have a chemical explosion with the wrong chemicals meet. So I'll be talking about that today and how to be prepared and what to do. I appreciate you all's time, and I'll be back in a second after the next speaker.
Assalamualaikum. I'm Brother Eric, and my wife, Sister Kimberly. I got into disaster preparedness because of my wife. I told the story to Sister Hendricks, but in 2010, with the flood happened, this is what I guess my testimony. My whole family came to my house. I'm sorry.
It might get you.
There
There we go. People think their voices carry, but they don't sometimes.
All right. Well, okay. My testimony is this first. In 2010, when we had the flood, my whole family ended up our house. nobody's been in the well, but they brought my family, they brought friends. Everybody just came in, and my wife had a lot of food. We survived for 2-3 days now, but we realized that everybody don't prepare. Everybody don't think ahead. And my family ate all the time. So even though we had enough food that could last a month or 2 months, them eating 2 or 3 times a day wiped us out. I'm talking, my wife got to the point she had to tell people to go home. They just got accustomed, they wanted us for breakfast, they wanted lunch, they wanted dinner, then they wanted a snack. That's just how people eat. And we're trying to eat one meal a day and try to get yourself under control where you don't go hungry and not overindulge. So our part, I'm excited about it. I enjoy this type of thing because I like to talk about it. I like to actually show and see that we're really not prepared. But this is a step in the right direction. And I want y'all to look around this room, we see there's mostly substance here. Women, y'all, that's y'all job, that's what y'all do. I never thought about being prepared. When my wife was out spending my money buying me a life jacket, I'm like, man, we get up there, what was the life jacket? What was the chance that we needed a life jacket? And flood came. I was prepared.
Smartest woman in the room.
My wife go out and she'll come home with all types of stuff. We got machetes. I'm like, baby, we got to go. I didn't know, but in the ice storm, I broke down. My wife had a bag in the car. I had food, I had water, I had a little heating blanket. She had put this made out of, I don't know how to heat it, but it's a little heating blanket. So machines, things like that, I did. So as a man, we have to sometimes realize we have to humble ourselves and let our wives take control. And lead us sometimes. That's part of being a leader, knowing what your role is. My wife's role, she prepares. I just don't pay for the stuff. I don't know how some of the stuff will work. She has to show me sometimes. But she had fun. She like, let me show you how to heat the house. Let's practice cooking over here. Let's cook outside. But it works. So I'm thankful that. And this is really, we can't really take a lot of credit for this because our teaching, our faith gives us this. By us being members of the nation, the message that prepared us, he gave us the survival list. I never looked at the list. My wife has prepared the list. She got everything on that list. You got it. Because you need to be prepared. We should know that this day is coming with civil unrest, fire, all type of emergencies going to pop up. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a storm. Like I said, a fire can happen in your house. You're not prepared, you burn up. One thing about us is that I have nothing that's more important than my wife. So as long as I can get her out of the house, I ain't worried about the stuff that burned up. Everything else can be replaced. We experienced that too. My mother's house burned down. They looking for stuff. Just get out of the house. Just get out. And then once you're out, you realize she crying, her kitchen burned up. So all that stuff can be replaced. Everything. But the most important thing is to save their life. That's right. My mother had doors blocked, windows blocked. Break them out, you get out. A lot of us don't prepare. We don't think it can happen to us, but it can. So the first thing you have to do is get prepared. We're making the right step right now by having this conference, by talking about it. This is the first step. I hope this won't be our last time. We have so much information that we need is right at this table. This is a general round of applause. She don't want to say nothing. She don't tell me what I messed up. Understand right now. She don't think what I did wrong. I'm going to pass the mic to Brother Demetrius, and I'm going to give him this part of the presentation. Yes, sir.
How's everybody?
Fine, sir.
I have a question. When we came in, looking around, reading each other. Whenever you go somewhere, sometimes you may want to know where the exits are. If you can just take one finger and point to one exit, I'd appreciate it. Now, if you notice, the fingers are going in different directions. There means more than one exit. So I'm going to tell you wherever you are, if you have more than one exit, That's not a bad.
That's good.
So if something's happening in this direction, what do you do? Now, people will say, how do I know something bad is happening? Well, you're going to know. Especially if it has something to do with civil unrest. And you're definitely going to know if it's something that has to do with the terrorist attack. You're going to hear a lot of noise. You're going to see a lot of movement. Those things will make you want to see. But you have to be careful. When you hear things hitting up against your house, right? You don't want to look out of what?
Well,
The window. You don't know. Because what you're hearing hitting the house is probably what? Bullets. Rounds. Now, people might say, this is what they do say until some child or some adult that they say is crazy. Now, government, certain things they can't tell you once they've started the cases. Sometimes they have to go years before they will release stuff. But at the end of the day, these people have planned certain things happen that we will not know about. Something to tease your memory. I heard someone speaking about the flood. I think it was 2010. Yes. So I was still working. Oh, I think those numbers. That's because I didn't update. Yes, I'm not proud per se, but I'm cognizant that I am 32 years and growing. Okay, so I served mine. People serve more, but most of our people, they retire around 23, 25. I had reasons that I wanted to keep coming. This is one of them. Because whenever we go somewhere, not only am I training other people's officers, I'm learning too. And they have actual situations where we must learn more. So when we're actually tasked to think about what do we do when we get back to Nashville, I don't forget. Because I saw the bodies that didn't tell you about operating, bloated in the water. Now, their families have not come to terms with that yet. But you notice, you haven't seen that on the Okay. That's not a bad thing per se, but it's a thing that happened. And it could happen again. And most of the time, we really don't think about it much until someone we know. So you will know, and it'll be up to you how you're going to respond. The first response is how do you feel about it? Now, most of us are so competitive now that we enjoy sports. Sports not only on TV anymore, like some of us were young. The sports are on our phone. So we're looking at keeping them. So we don't know it, but we're quite competitive. So when you think about someone doing something to your family, take it personal. When you think about someone doing something to you, take it personal. Prepare. So in other words, win. So if certain things are happening and the doors fly open, you've got to what? Brother said, "Can't run." No, you got to what? Got to fight.
Fight.
Okay. And in our nation, the Nation of Islam, there are many situations that they don't tell you about. But not only did the fight occur, we won. In New York, the neighborhood came out, and the police had to ask Minister Farrakhan, please come out so they can get us out of the neighborhood. Because they wouldn't let us go. Okay. He's had to stand on top of a car. They have pictures of it, big long articles. Because once they entered our school, that's what our babies were. Everybody was scuffing. Right? Teaching, men or women. Of course, we say brothers are always on post with them. Of course. One of them lost their life. But one of them lost their life too. And it happened without us caring what. We don't care what. Okay. Now, when I was at work, yes. As soon as I get home, never. And brothers search me, they never had a trial. Okay. So you don't have to say you don't want to carry or you do want to carry. Just know if they enter where you live, that's on them. That's right. You have to take it. Because if shots are fired, including, I didn't say, terrorists have the activity of terrorism. They're going to kill people. They're going to maim people. They're going to set things on fire. They may cast an explosion. Guess what? Our young people, young blacks. Okay, so whoever it is, if they enter your home, it's on. And when they entered that school, it was on. Everybody was stuck till the police had to leave. Okay, but that's police. Now that's a terrorism situation years ago. We made many enemies because as a people, that's what we do. That's what this country is based on. You know it's a mistake to treat somebody like they're less than human being. And we sit here now free to talk, smile, feel good, but in each one of you, including mine, there's a lineage that we don't want to think about. Sometimes if you don't like reading your books, sometimes you got to history, black history, sometimes you got to look on YouTube sometimes and see what our people went through at that time. For us to sit here and someone entered our atmosphere to harm us, especially your home, and you allow it, it can't be. They would, if they were on a crutch, they would help you fight. They would, because that's all they want. One day to get freedom to look after themselves. So when you think about what's going to happen when there's a civil unrest, terrorist attack, it sounds simple, but things like the exits, simple things like someone, I think he's anytime, not because I'm smart, but it's my habit. Someone tried to get me, we were out somewhere. They wanted me to sit with my back to the door. I mean, they really said, come on, no, I don't need it. Now, that's not for you to do per se, but I know I didn't survive thinking it. When it enters, when I hear the first click, I know that's something. My eyes gonna go there, flip the table, until you're on that. And then, like brother said, like the fire, guess what? You'll go that way, but I'll be going what? That way. Because if I allow it to happen, it's going to get me, wife, everyone else. Now you might say, oh, that's a nice thing. I'm trained, I have a skill. It's not going to be proud of 32 years in Nashville. And this was my zone many years. Okay. And even when I worked inside the school, whenever school is out, guess where they send my kid? Back to patrol. And they thought they were doing something cute. They noticed I never complained. Because I was busy gathering what? Yeah, like we call intel. How to handle things. Yes, because they happen to me. All right? While I'm trying to help my people, they might hurt me. Right across the street, when brother and sister want to scuffle in the parking lot, and one of them has a machete. So now that's a feeling. Everyone was out in the parking lot. As soon as my car slides up in that street, I slide the door open. You might say, why didn't you shoot him? For one. Okay. And secondly, how do you shoot when you don't know where your projectiles are going? Every round, you're responsible for it. So when you miss, you're going to hit a child. And the old lady's going to go through the window. So I have to go to them. So as the sister quickly shade, well, you see, I don't shoot them. You know, I work my ass. Pop, man, she really good. We put, she played. She knows doing something else. Those other boys will back up and they come sliding in there. They already have this stuff. Okay. Not saying right or wrong, but that's the same thought process that we all have, especially when it comes to your home and places of the road and your church. Every church should have a security team. The security team helps interface not only with law enforcement, but definitely with fire. Because remember, they have the paramedics. So everyone that goes down, they're going to risk themselves to go in and get you out. Okay? And that's the kind of process that will happen in your home if something like that happens. do not be surprised when you see things on the news, digest it, catalog it. Don't forget. These are the things that happen. It will wake you up, but it wakes you up to what? Do something? Yes. Thank you very much. We're going to have a good time. Thank you.
Let's go ahead and proceed with planning ahead, packing the essentials, and knowing where to go with Mr. Terrence. I'm going to try my best to pull up your.
Wow, thank you, Brother Dimitri. I mean, this is a lot of information. These are a lot of things that we hadn't thought about, but like Brother Dimitri said, Brother Eric said, it's just so important to hear this because it really makes you realize how unprepared we really are when it comes down to it. And it's very thought-provoking. So, like everything else, this should be the number one thing on our agenda when we get back to our humble abodes, when we get back to our families. We should be talking about this and getting this information out there. Thank you, Ms. Jenny and her crew. We on YouTube anyway, is that right? All right.
Facebook.
On Facebook, okay. So with this one, how will you know what's really going on? Me and Brother Eric and Sister Jenny was talking, and it was to the point whereas, they were talking about the flood, and we were talking about a particular radio station, and they were still talking and having a good time on the radio, laughing and joking, and it's a flood in Nashville going on. And so Brother Eric was saying, like, look, I go to talk radio, 99.1. I know it's a Republican station, but you got to look at these other alternative radios. A lot of times they're telling us stuff that we need to know. It's not all about having a good time and lollygagging and all of that. It's having that source of information. I'll go on the Fox the Fox TV. Why? Because I want to get that other option that's out there. See, anything that you get as far as information, it's all good. You have to cipher through that part, which is good, just like you get information from anything else. You go to the part that's going to be beneficial for you. The rest of it, just leave it alone. So look at your multiple sources of information. So we still have the Final Call newspaper. There's a lot of good information in there. And I'm thinking there's something about that paper when you have it in your hand. Just think about it. All the magazines that we used to have, all the Jet magazines and all the everything. It was something about just having that in your hands and having it at your fingertip. Again, if the communication gets thrown down and torn down and we can't get access, where are the resources at? So start building that back up. Get you something that you have something other than what you normally get and start looking at multiple information. Because a lot of times when you see what's on TV, guess what? It's 10 times worse than what it really is. And a lot of the information has been bought up to where it can be biased and go in one direction. So you're not getting, when they say fair and balanced, are you really getting that? So we have to make sure that we chime in on visiting with each other, because it's going to be resources that we'll have those that's expertise that will be bringing to the church. We have those seminars that may be outside of what we normally. Let's get out of the norm and let's try to do something a little different. You can always come back to what you've been doing, but if you see it's more beneficial to get out there and start doing things, then let's do that. So again, listen to the different talk radio, giving you other newspaper or other news resources. Find a different TV station. It's not all about entertainment, because when this thing goes down, we want to make sure that we got all the information that we need. But we have to close the doors. It's over with. You won't get another chance to get it. You got to already have it. What else do we need? We would need walkie-talkies, right? Another source of communication. If the phones are down, how can we get that? Again, going back to the things that used to be as it was in the beginning, so it'll be in the end, right? Going back to basics. Let's get the walkie-talkies. We may have to use that. What about the battery-operated radio? have to go back to those things. You know, we may even have to crank that bad boy up. Is that right? So these are the things that we got to go back to doing. And grandma and grandpa did, and they did fine. They was able to survive. We could take a page out of their playbook and what they had. Apps, again, information. Let's get the FEMA apps. Let's get the Red Cross apps. Let's get the disaster alert apps. Let's put them on our phone, because guess what it does? I was there yesterday, you know, my daughter, you know, you got the new generation of millennials, and well, hey, don't put it all on you. Again, we want everybody to be accountable, right? I said she's a stockholder, so I'm gonna put her to work. Is that right? I'm gonna make sure that she gets the phone to tell us what we need to do. And they so fast to get stuff done. I was like, well, I want to know how to do it. Don't worry about it, Dad. I got it. Okay, well, that's fine. You know, that's what God made it for. Is that right? So utilize them. The text, I had put in the text up there. It had text. It says text prepare to the number 43362. They said text prepare at 43362 on your phone. As soon as I put it in, it's downloading the app immediately. So if anything comes up, they're alerting you right away as things start to happen. Because one thing about it, they're not going to always give us the information. When this thing go down, a lot of times the civil unrest, when it happens, sometimes chaos is what people like to use in order to justify whatever's going to be done in the street. And if we out there acting a fool and we don't have our houses repaired because starvation when it hits, you know, I know after 3 days we do a fast every month. After 3 days, people be laughing about bean soup, but it tastes just like steak when you ain't eating 3 days. So like Brother Eric said, some of these things we need to practice how to eat, when to eat. Because we got to learn how to eat to live, not live to eat. But they told you how people like to come over and eat all day long. You know, you got a certain structure in your house. You got a certain environment in your house. You got certain peace in your house. You don't need to for it to be more chaotic, you know, but, you know, in those times, what are we doing to prepare for that? So those are the other apps we use. If the lines are overwhelmed, you may have to result. Because I think one year it was so overwhelming when they had the bombing downtown, people were trying to call and they couldn't call. So you may have to resort to the text and the email, you know, as an alternative. So think about that as well. You know, these are all the things we have to think about when it comes down to it, because if it gets overwhelming, it gets overloaded, they're panicking, but you got to have other means to be able to communicate to your family members. And again, we talked about the backup logs, the emails, the password, get your Rolodex. I know I got a book. That thing just hanging over with, you know, all numbers in there. But it works for me. It's just hanging because I've been using that book for so long. Where's your important documents if everything goes down? How are you going to be able to get to your resources if it's in the bank? When this thing goes down, you know, a lot of times the bank may have to close if there's civil unrest in the street. They're not going to allow you to come in. First thing you're going to do is probably come in and want to shoot. Where's my money at? You want to see if people act funny, mess with the money. You know what I'm saying? So think about those type of things. Where's your important documents if you got a safe deposit box? Did you make copies of those documents, your deeds, your titles, your registration, your passports? You may have to keep the passports on you this time. Social security cards, bank statements, all of these things that we hadn't thought about. Sometimes even with that, if you're in a fire, once you get it home, put it on the cloud. Yeah, put the children to work. I don't know about the cloud, but they say it's up there somewhere. And I just have to utilize my daughter to make sure she can bring it down from there. But these are the things, we got to have a backup to a backup. As many backup plans that you can get, you know, please utilize that. While we're on that, I want to say about the banks. One thing that we should be doing is, they said just like you should have 90 days of money stored away for emergency fund. I would say, you know, think about having some emergency money at the house. Because if you don't have that emergency money in the house and it goes down, you can't get to the bank, how are you gonna access? So make sure you got some emergency money at the house to be able to make sure that you can go out and get what you need, those needed essentials right away. So start putting some money at the house too, so if something happens, just think of the computers and everything shut down. It's sad to say, but people's like, well, you got my money in the bank. Well, everything is done by computer. We just can't go in and dig in the coffers and give you money out. I'm sorry, everything is set up that way. But these are the things that we hadn't thought about, that we need to think about, probably put in place as we go further to this preparedness. So this is my part here. We're going to turn it back over to Brother.
All right, you keep this interesting. Let's get a little long. All of us really gonna be piggybacking off of everything for every different type of emergency you could have. We're pretty much gonna say the same thing. As far as fire and planning, you just gotta be prepared to think that it could happen. Nobody wants to think about bad things happening and being in a fire until you're in one. So at least, take a little time, a month, a year, just to prepare for it. Planning for a fire, just know it can happen anywhere. It can happen in the car, gym, home, work, church, restaurant, school, outside. Fires happen everywhere. And just knowing that something can happen is, one of the first steps of being prepared for it. Like he said, having an escape route in your home, evacuation plan if you live in like a building. They make fireproof safes where you can put your paperwork in. I mean, everything burns, but the fireproof safe has a burn rating where during a typical fire, it should keep your documents safe. So you got all different types of sizes of safes or what you want to put in there. I always say important paperwork, like he was talking about passports, social security cards, even photos that you really love, and how you want to show them off in the photo album, if people still have those. Keep that in a fireproof safe also. Just pull it out when you want to use it. As far as doors and homes, and I got megatons of stories I can tell you, but leaving your doors closed when you're not in those rooms can save an entire house. I know in my home, all the doors are open all the time. Bathroom doors, kids, bedroom doors, garage doors, they leave open. All the doors are always open, but I make it a point to, if we leave to, go out to eat or we go out of town, to close all the doors. A closed door can save a whole house. I've been in many house fires where they left every single door open and the fire started in one room, smoke went into the whole house. And I've been in a fire where a fire happened in one room, but all the doors was closed and the fire was contained to that one room. The rest of the house was still livable, wasn't really smoky. So there's little tips like that can help you out with planning for a fire. Planning for smoke inhalation. My thing is, unless you're a trained person to deal with smoke, just leave. I know, I can only imagine. I mean, and I see it, again, I got stories. But if something is on fire, there's going to be smoke. And the smoke is what gets everybody. It's not the fire, because everybody has a common sense. If they see a fire, I'm not going to touch it. But once the fire stops going, it's going to release smoke. And then that smoke is going to be chemicals. We have all these chemicals that we put in the plastics, couches, beds, carpet, all that stuff all those chemicals that's in those items produce a toxic smoke. And that's what gets you. You'll go from eyes watering to coughing to being dizzy and not being able to breathe. So the smoke is a good way to get you. So that's an easy plan. Once you see the smoke and you see how dark it is, that's when you know it's a lot of bad stuff in there. If you ever had the wood burning fireplace going, you know that smoke is kind of whitish, right? So that smoke isn't as bad. But when you see that dark, thick, black smoke, that's the bad stuff in there. You gotta get away from it. You know, natural items will burn white, but all the plastics and chemicals is gonna give that dark, black smoke. That's the smoke that's bad for you. So the only way to stay prepared for that is to leave. My last topic is chemical explosions. It's easy to stay prepared for that. You just need to know what you're dealing with. I know a lot of people clean and have different chemicals to, clean the outside of the house, the inside of the house. Depending on where you work, you may work with a certain amount of chemicals. Most chemicals are going to be labeled and, the skull and crossbones on there. That's bad, So I would say don't use chemicals you only use chemicals the way they're intended to use it. I know we got some of these remedies and some of these, you're searching on Facebook and YouTube and you see somebody use this chemical to do something else. Leave that to the professionals. Again, all this information, and if you have any questions about any type of chemicals, there's all kind of 1-800 numbers to look up all this stuff. Also, everybody has a cell phone nowadays. You can ask your phone any kind of question. And I would say just play with that, when you have time. You got a question about something, just ask your phone and see what happens. Again, I'll be up here for another topic, and we'll conclude this meeting. Thank you again.
Good morning. Good morning. Can y'all hear me okay? Okay. I'm just quiet. So did everyone get this handout? It's a disaster preparedness question here. Everybody gets one, receive one.
Yes, actually, over here, we don't.
And Miss Ginger was so kind when she said expert. I don't consider myself an expert, but I consider myself as just informed. And that's something that we want each and every one here to be, is just informed. And that could be just learning different techniques or things we can do to, be able to survive any type of disaster preparedness that you're dealing with, whether that's, an act of God, something man-made, or what I don't like to add to my list is the emergencies that we create ourselves that we don't really think about. We know about the other ones, the weather and, the terrorism, as we mentioned, but those little emergencies that sometimes my husband puts to be like, why every time I get in your car, the tank is on? So those emergencies, you know your car, but you didn't plan for somebody else to take your car. So when you get in, you drive it, you calculate it. How many miles you have to go to what? Ease, right? And then you find yourself on the side of the road. So those little unexpected emergencies that we create ourselves. Okay.
I just want to ask something to your program about getting older. And how different things buildings out here. We need to prepare age appropriate.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Age appropriate. We got a lot of seniors that's living on the second building. I know we got stairways. It's talking about the fire. Sometimes you can't get the fire, the stairway. You can't get the elevator. And I've been doing this for a long time. You don't have to get the stairs to go out the window.
Yes, ma'am.
So not only think about preparedness, think about being safe
get out state. How are you gonna get out state? So they need observation, no distance around. I know, you know, some folks didn't want to be crawling out no window, but I will when it comes to safety. So, and I know that the windows that we used to have for people, we used to go put the fingers that handicap on the second building. But if we have to, then you're gonna have to look at it appropriately. I might have to do that.
Thank you for that. And I agree with what you're saying. I used to work downtown. Everybody knows that's the back building, right? I worked in that building for over 20 years, right? And when I first started working in that building, that was the first thing they did. They taught us that particular training, the fire department, we used to have to do those little test runs all the time. So I know exactly what you're talking about. What they trained us on was you had a budget, right? But they kept a log of who was expecting. So the firefighters would know exactly, Brother Hines would know exactly where to go to get this person. That's who they're gonna go get first. Because if my baby would go down the stairs, he's supposed to go down the stairs, right? But you had a buddy system, that buddy stayed with you. So we know if you couldn't go down the stairs, they went to the stairwell inside. And they stayed there, and the fire department came up the elevator with their, emergency key, got the person. That's how they did it. So I'm sure, maybe different organizations probably have something similar, but that is key, knowing, who has a medical condition, who can and can't, evacuate a building. And then knowing too how long it takes to evacuate. That's important. How long does it take? You need to get out of your home. So for this, if you don't remember anything I'm saying today, just remember these two things. The first one is the rule of three. So what I consider that the rule of three is you can survive 3 weeks without food, but on 3 days without water. So that's that rule of three. 3 weeks, you can go 3 weeks and you get nothing to eat, but you're gonna only survive 3 days without. So that 4th day is sketchy, right? So the rule of three. So water is key when it comes to surviving. I can have everything on this table, but if I don't have water, I'm not surviving. So that's key, right? And then the other thing I like to do when I'm dealing with disaster preparedness training is FICO. A lot of people that work in the food industry may know what I'm talking about, right? I call myself again, tell it to my husband, I know what they do, right? So FIFO, first in, first out, right? So you go to the store and you're preparing and you're stockpiling, food, your home, or whatever, the first thing in should be the first thing out. So then if I go buy a can of green beans today, I should put that to the back. Then the stuff that I already have, I should move it to the front. So that's what we mean when we say first in, first out. A lot of times we go to the store, we just put it on the shelf, and so we're, our old food is going bad, and then we're using the new food. And we should be using the older food first, and then the new food, we should be saving for last. So this questionnaire is just to get you thinking, just for you to do an assessment. We all should conduct some type of assessment of our home. We do this also at the mosque, so it just doesn't relate to the home, because if something happened and you're here in St. Luke, how does that look, on a Sunday when a disaster happens, right? So the first question is, do you have enough food to feed your family for 3 days? Think about how many is in your household. You have enough food, everyone for 3 days. Have you stored 3 gallons of water for each member of your family? 3 gallons for everybody in your house. Do you have a flashlight and battery? The next question is, do you have a portable radio and battery? But sometimes we can have a battery, we don't have a radio. We got the radio, we don't have battery. But you got a flashlight, you don't have a battery. So it kind should be together. And what I've also learned is don't necessarily put the batteries in the flashlight until you need it. If you put them in there beforehand, you can drain your batteries, and it's no good when you really need it. Right? So the next one is each member of your family familiar with all utility shut-off valves? So if you got gas, everybody knows how to turn the gas off, put water, things like that. Right? You have a large wrench to shut off gas if necessary. So I'm gonna piggyback off the brother Hines. If you don't know what you're doing, leave that gas alone. Now, you got an explosion, you got a gas leak, right? So, but if you do, you know, is your hot water heater strapped to the wall? Do you have first aid supplies? Have you or at least one member of your family taken a CPR or first aid course? You got emergency going on in your home, and whether Hines can't get there right. You that first responder, whether we realize it or not. You that first one. Something happened to my husband, my children. I got to be the person until he can get there. And if it's you know, a snowstorm, an ice storm, or a tornado, something going on, you know, it might take them a little while longer. I could potentially save that person's life if I know CPR and some type of first aid. So number 10 is, does each family member know where the safe places are in your home? So with that, no, that was not. No, Kanika. I'm sorry, I have a conniving and Kanika. So now you have a Kanika? Not, yes.
Who is Kanika?
Right there. That's Kanika and conniving, not Sister Kanika, but I'm sorry, I didn't pick the name. So she mentioned where they went to, you know, during that tornado. So everyone in your household should know where the safe place is now. So now you just tally up your score. So how many yeses you have, how many you had no, right? So if you answer yes to all 10 questions, you can consider yourself minimum. If you have answered no to one or more of these questions, you are considered to be inactive. Just one. So the next questions, the next 5 questions are, what will you do when there's a full-scale disaster? So what you gonna do?
Right?
Like my family, it's like my husband mentioned earlier. Your plan A is what? I'm going over to You are no part of my plan, right? But 2010, the flood in Nashville taught me, no, I gotta make sure that everybody, my family, his family have a survival list. So, you know, don't come to my house, because I've already told you what to do, right? Okay. So the second question is, what will you do when bad weather conditions, earthquakes, or madness in the streets? So we talked about civil unrest, prevent you from conducting district activities. You can't go to work, you can't go to school, you can't go to church, you can't go to movies, you can't go out to eat. So what you don't do. And we all experience that, right? I'm seeing you going, so we all experiencing COVID-19, right? That stopped us from doing business as usual for some of us. For me, it did not. I still had to work because I was considered what they consider essential telecommunications. Oh, I had to go. I had to sit at home. I had to go to work, right? So number 3, what will you do when there is no food in the stores and no lights, water, and gas? Kroger's on top of the highway, not open. Yeah, that's the part of that civil unrest that brother Demetrius talked about. Because some people do that, and you gotta know how, like you said, to defend your household. The majority of the stuff, 75% of the stuff I know is from, you know, what we learn in the nation, preparedness. But the other is just taking the time to inform myself, not just going past what the information I was given, right? So. And sometimes it's not a bad thing to kind of look and see what behaviors do, right? Because we're taught that in the nation. The messenger, the minister, car consultants, is better like me, makes no excuses. So I get on YouTube, I'm on the prepper channel, I'm looking, they prepared. They will tell you come to their house what they're gonna do. So we gotta have the same mindset, like, brother, we just think we gotta be able to defend, you know, and then not show your press, right? Because if your neighbor over here knows, if you get out of school, where you think they coming in? So the fourth one is, suppose you could not obtain any more supplies or services from anywhere and had to live off of what you have in your home today for 4 months. How long would you last? How long would you survive? And what would you do?
My brother still have military rations.
And I remember, because I was a student, brother, and he just was down as well, you know. He said, he looked, because I remember that he looking at Fido, he got a dog, and he looking a little tasty. You know, he's not prepared. That's real. You know, or some of us, you looking at churches, looking at each other, that's just real. Fortunately, haven't been there yet, but for some people, that's a reality. I don't want to look at me in my house, so we don't look at Apollo like that, and I better be, you know, doing stuff. So the fifth one is, how much do you value your life? What about your neighbors? Some of us been living in the neighborhoods that they grew up with, you know, their grandparents, their parents, so these are people that you consider like family. So how much do you value them? And then you have to ask yourself the question, who is your family? Some of us have extended family, you know, best friends, some of the members of our church, some people we work with. Could you watch them starve to death? So this questionnaire that I just kind of went over, this is something I got when I first came to Nashville, so it's still applicable today. You know, 26, 27 years later, this is what I go off of. This is what I do when I do an assessment, things in our home. This is something that any presentation I do, I get everybody here, everybody wanting to get them to think, you know, what was kind of a starting point to be able to get us to think more preparedness and be more prepared for ourselves, our household. As a lot of them mentioned, a lot of stuff is probably going to be done. We're going to probably say similar to the same things, but that's pretty much my portion. I'm going to turn it over, I think, for YouTube.
I'm sorry. We're gonna have to, I will have a question to answer at the very end. Oh, okay, I don't have a question. I just want the ladies not to be scared to pick up a gun. I know you mentioned it earlier. Okay.
How's everybody?
There's a microphone over the,
Oh, I'm sorry.
YouTube.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. But did you say something about a firearm?
Yes,
What you said?
don't be afraid of it.
Oh, well, kind of sort of. If you have one, not be afraid. They have one, be afraid. Since you said this, since I figured I'd get it out of the way, if you have firearms in your home, then that means be cognizant that children are going to be looking for it. Everything in American society has to deal with firearms. You can barely see a good commercial where something's not speeding, running into something, including running into books. So make sure that they're locked away properly, and you have to have a conversation with the children. Don't just hide and think, I'm not going to let them know yet. No, you got to let them know and give them some actual guidelines on how to handle themselves and not handle themselves. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just telling my age now. Learn how to live off the land.
Yes, ma'am. Matter of fact, thank you, sister. There are 2 sheets of paper the sister gave out. Okay, and they have to do, you see their list of things that you might have in your possession. Only. Some of it you'll find on both pages, but when you hear certain things that we're talking about, maybe slide down there and see, since we're just telling you about the batteries and about flashlights. Those are important. Sometimes you might have, in this day and time, technology, they have different types of flashlights. They have a flashlight that you can have right there on your lapel when you're at work. Okay? It's right on like it's an ink pen. Okay? Then they have a little larger one, okay, where you just hit the end of it like that. It'll come on. Then it'll go off. Okay? That's important because if you're going around your home to see white smoke or black smoke, you got to be able to put the light there. There it goes. Okay. So you turn it on, click, all right. And then if you're walking and you can't find grandma, then you have to go under a bed, look, and click, and hurry up and find it. If this is a situation about human beings, and you do have a fire, then you make sure that you see what you're firing at so you don't accidentally shoot a family member. Kind of know where the windows are in your home. If they're standing in the middle of your bedroom when you come in this door, you may have to drop them where they lie if you're able to. But keep in mind, it doesn't have to be a firearm. Once you get this proper training, you may be able to put that person through the window. You know, right now you don't think so. Okay? But you could, even if you're a touch everything. Okay? And what you want to do is don't take yourself. Now, thank you. I want to get that to you. Thank you. Okay, so before we go anywhere further, I have an opportunity, a God-given opportunity. When I came inside the schools, one of the schools was Cameron. That's one the teachers were. What is your name, man? Miss Amy. Give her a hand, please. I know she tried to ease in there. All right. So, as you know, that area, many years back to back, we watched the news. It was not just a high crime area, but it was a high homicide. But most important, that was the school that I went to. I didn't get to graduate, but we were moving on as a society, so to say. So we started integration. They made me gather and sent some other narratives over there where we had to graduate. We would prefer to be a camp. So someone would say, let's stay kids. Other officer said, you don't do this here. Because the same way you take care of your zone in a car, I take care of my zone. I go by and listen. Right? And if I have the chance, I'll actually teach us a lesson on how to get a class. And they'll sit there and nod. And the children will see them nodding, and the children will say, that must be okay. Although he's got that uniform on, they just mistreat him. Those things happen. The bottom line is they need to be able to carry on with life, no matter where you live. You have to get involved with officer programs that went inside schools. That first one, none of the brag about it really bad. But I had to get my school by really semi-lying. I sit there kind of like you were sitting with all the officers in the room, and they were getting my school. Every time they said Cameron, nobody's hand went up. And I said, So I just stayed quiet. Going to school myself. And I said, but that's the one I wanted anyway. Yeah. So, because who's gonna look after them better than, because when I'm listening to the radio and stuff happens, there's a robbery, whatever, or there's a domestic across the street, man shot, right? I am. They're running across the field. I have to lock the school down. Okay. I've got all those other things you're supposed to do, but once I get mine locked down, sometimes she can't find me. That's because she's not supposed to. She's got to take care of her children. Once I get it locked down, different places, I'll just go and stand right in the breeze with her way. Locked down. If they get in, I'm not going to let them down. So, okay. But fortunately, when you do those things, like in your own home, God will bless you. That if you feel that it never happens. Some of you have done those things, and you're sitting there now saying, "When is that going to happen to me?" No, you don't want it. Okay, so thank you for being here. Now, I heard something about the radios that's on your paper. They have classes on ham radios. They're shortwave radios. Some people think, wow, how much does that training cost? The training is free. Okay? You just have to give the time up and go there. So if someone really wants to take the initiative, then you can send someone from your organization, from your church, to get that information, then you bring it back, including the handouts. And all you gotta do is copy the handouts when you get back and teach your company. You don't have to be a registered instructor or teacher. Okay, just come and get there. And while you're there, you can look it up. There's a thing called, you think it's FEMA, but it's not. Totally separate. FEMA normally gets here after everything has happened. Have you ever seen that big long truck, like a SWAT truck? It's white. Okay. Most of the time, if you see them on the interstate coming through Nashville, that means they're coming from somewhere. Okay. And they hadn't responded, but those are the big shots that in there, people that make things happen. Okay. Right with that is for our own state. Okay. It's called Community Emergency Response Team. It's called CERT. That's for citizens or anybody. Most of the times I went because I knew the information was important. So when the officers had to come to, the firemen had to come to our school, they knew where their partner was. Okay? I'm going to be with you. So if you're a certain civilian person and you're at your church, you work at a store, that means sometimes you may have to interface as quickly as you can and then follow their what? So if they say, I got it, you can leave. They're not insulting you, just feel good about that. And they say you can leave, go. Matter of fact, it may be time sometimes. When we were sitting here, he's not here now. Good young brother, I watched this smile. How many of you saw a young man in good shape come in here with a backpack that was kind of heavy? Okay. But if you are in situations you're thinking about civil unrest, things like that, that's what they carry. That's where they come get their intel. Or that's what they call reconnaissance. They sit amongst the group several times, not back to back. Most times they will come 2 times. And sometimes they will come to meetings in a row with what? Not the same person. So they're watching your movements. If they're just sitting right out there and you have a good smiling person that meets people, tell them, anybody that's sitting out there, use your smile and go meet them. Okay, because if they're sitting there too long, and you see a heavy bag, you might want to ask them what kind of work they do. Okay? And if they act a little squirrely, like, then she or someone else needs to pick up. It's no harm. Call for the officer because this person thinks it's acting strange. Other people do that to us all the time. You come to buy something from their shoe store and they called it in already. Well, they would think you had corn. They would think that you were acting strange. Okay? That's why the officer showed up. So you cover yourself. Now, but remember the CERT, Community and Emergency Response Team. Ham radios, shortwave radios, it's important to have some type of communication. One of the major problems that we had Katrina, if you heard on the news, the major problem was communication. The organizations of fire, safety, that means they got to bring you out of the place where the crime, well, it's not a crime, but where the incident is happening. Maybe you got a sprung knee, you can't run real good. Maybe you're bleeding. They got to get you out of there. Okay, so it's very important that you kind of make sure that you're able to communicate. Because they found out not only did local not have communication with the FBI, so, you know, they like to use those acronyms all the time. Half the time they're not there. They come after the fact. That stuff about movies, that's true. Everyone loves the glory. So when the people from the federal place come, that's what they do. I'll take care of it. We got some people, because they want to take the point now. That's why it's okay. We need their assistance. But that's why sometimes we say, go ahead. Because we know in a second they're going to be lost. And I'll stay right there and say, I'm scared. So now you say, yes, ask him. Okay. So what you want to do is make sure that you're prepared to interface with people like that. At least asking who they are, where they are. The person is sitting out there or back there in a car, and the doors are not locked. Listen. Okay. So if you have a young man or a young lady that's like walking, it doesn't hurt for her to walk right by it. Just let them get around so people will see you. Most important, when you get this training that you're getting now, make sure whatever organization that you're with, do a dry run occasionally. I can't tell you when, depending on your situation and maybe where you are. So you make sure you do a dry run so everyone empties the building and you'll know how. Someone said something about people getting through a window because they're heavy set. I'm heavy set too. Okay. Yeah. Bottom line, they got to get out. Okay. So what you want to do is make sure that you kind of have an idea of where to go. So if it's spotted back there again, you go where? If it's on both ends, now you know you're going to have to wait. You know it. Because they box you in, they mean you know this. And when you start hearing the pop sound, and the hole comes through the wall, then you have to know something. And it's not saying you don't have equipment, but if you had one, then you would know you got to learn how to direct people with the opposite hand. So if you're tasked to be, because you got one, I wouldn't suggest it. But if you have one and you're working for your church, then if you have to get people out, this hand must be free. If you're right, your left hand, this hand must be free. What does that have to do with? Communication. You have to tell them, okay, out that door. But you know, if you call me back one day, I can tell you something. You can tell them. Well, then, it's one. Start here and think, pop, that could be on your job. Somebody just went down, you remember the school? And there wasn't a person from the Middle East. Remember the young lady went all through there with AR-15, shooting at the children, teachers. Yeah. But terrorists is what a terrorist does. So you don't want to have to say, well, I'm not going to worry about it if they're not from the Middle East. No, you can't say that. Okay. Could be your cousin in your house that loses it. Okay. But bottom line, now, I wanted you to be able to do something. If you're attached to looking after your family, which you are, there's going to come a time when you're met by people, okay, a confrontation. So what I'm going to ask, I need just one or two sisters. And okay, and all right. Okay. So now you just stand up. Okay, now, if you have the time and wherewithal and you're not feel too ashamed, you can, with 3 people, stand up just like we're doing right here. Okay. And practice this where you're seated now. Just stand up and do it. Watch what I'm doing. This has nothing to do with any physical fighting skills, but that's a lot of intelligence. So let's say we're in a hallway. Now, they say, I'm going to hurt you, or whatever it is. If you must fight, you fight for effect. Effect is number 1, to get yourself what? Safe. Not a martial arts movie. Okay. Get yourself safe. So now I want to get myself safe. Should I, since they're threatening me, okay, I'm an older person, okay? And I now am faced with, should I walk through here? Okay, should I? No. Can I really protect myself with two of these men? I don't like it, okay? Unliking means you're gonna get hurt real bad, okay? But the idea is, if they're both there, then you gotta take a way to go. The hallway is narrow. You do not go through here before we have the hands up. Then this is where you go. Okay? Right around here, down the hallway wall. Yes, he might click your time too. Okay, but you're gonna make it down the hallway. You cannot make it down the hallway if you go through the sounds common sense now, that but most people don't think about every day somewhere in Nashville, whether it's in the parking lot at the park or on their job, you stand right there. Oh, and it happens on the job with people that work together. There was a young man who lost his freedom, right? And he was trying to defend himself from a person with much, much larger. And unfortunately, normally, if you use the knife to stop the threat, and this is a big old mean guy, then they would let you walk. But now he's got to spend 30-something years. All right? So now, think about this. If we'll split stand up, those are the two. And if two of you will just stand this way, we're just gonna walk it. Okay. First time you just kind of want to, I know you see the signs. I'm making your blood circulate. Okay. Okay. Should you go here? No. Or should you go here? Now you might say that's a big old mountain. But if you already saw he's got a knee brace on, then you'll say, oh, he kind of showed me how to. Okay. Then now while you're up, then you said, I don't do MMA, I don't box, I don't know how, but you know, put your hand up. Okay? So you put your hand up, you can protect yourself a little bit. But the first is not a jab. The first one is this. I'm not going to miss this in my brother. But the idea is you go towards his way. Same way you go. You go bang and keep going. When he falls and you push him off, by the way, you push him off. Where do you push him? You push him away from you, or do you keep him in front of you? You understand? So you don't have to be a great boxer. Just know that you got to get yourself safe out of here. If you're in a situation where you're with your children, you know you got to get out of here. So the feeling that you have, that's what you do. Now, here's the other one. Let's say, remember we talking about basics. So now, okay. They got to finish them outside. Okay? So now if they say, you old so-and-so, we're going to do so-and-so, do you listen to the words or listen to your heart? Listen to your heart. You know you're under threat. So what did I just show you? So now when they do come, okay, right? Keep them where? So whatever you do, if you just can wrestle a little bit, keep them on. But now, you see the door? Now, okay, but you can't get to the door. If I say, I ain't scared of none of y'all. I am in the nation of this. I ain't scared of none of you. Okay? But now you step up there like this. That's not true. Okay? But if they don't come to you, we're going to come to you. Okay? And that when they hit you, hands up. Make yourself. He's saying in his mind, I'm going to do the second one. Bring him. So now I'm gonna run best I can. Thank you. Look at my. Blood is circulating. Those are things that you have to think of. Because you are, and you know who lives. You know what kind of characters may live across the street. And I can say that easily. Why? Because one of it is the north region. So I'm not just talking about people in the state. We're talking about the violence. When they want to hurt somebody, they're going to do it. So if you feel the threat, get ready. Now, when you get ready, guess what? They see that. A prepared mind, most of the time, they are being selective. When they're being selective outside the store, they're looking at certain people, how they walk. If they ask you, hey, sir, how much money you got? And you entertain them, well, really, I just got from the bank or something. No. Give them my contact, keep moving. Watch. Let's step back. It's LP. Next one comes. Now, why is he doing it? He's selective, like a predator, because he's okay. And that could be the same whether you call it law enforcement or not. That's why you handle yourself with proper mannerism. Someone might say, well, I don't want to talk to you. Well, they're about to approach you, and they're representing city government, state government, federal government. Then you need to handle it. You have to stand your ground and answer them. Not every question, but at least the first one. When they say, excuse me, I talk to you. You don't mind, you say, no problem. Okay? But you don't do this and watch it. I was going to the grocery store. No, that's not going to work. The seasoned law enforcement. He's got something he wants to do. It may not be legal. And the only thing that will freeze him from doing anything illegal is when he says, excuse me. Yes, sir. What was the second thing I said? Yes, sir. He has heard yes, sir, from the first day at his academy, whether it was FBI or whatnot. And if you were in the Marines, Air Force, Navy, you don't answer anybody. Yeah, what? I mean, I know some of you, a lot of your children. I know. We got a girl in law school now. She gets on the phone. She says, yes, sir. And I have to make her. And it's not this kind of yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, they say yes, sir. No. The same way that we used to answer with our parents and grandparents, it really needs to be realized. You can do it in a nice way by saying it to them first. Hey, why are you saying yes, sir to me now? Just tell them because that's the way you operate. So many things are happening. Now he's opening the door for you to talk about stuff you can do that or not. So when you're facing those type of people, including the people who will harm you, you have to give them strong words. So in other words, you say, excuse me, sir, I'm trying to get them. And they might say, oh, okay, old man, you let you know. Oh, I've nothing. She wasn't with me. Because my whole demeanor changes. But I've been alone and been checked. They didn't know who I was. All that stuff you talk about black belts, it don't really matter when somebody gets you back to get this thing. When they put that block, you know, you gotta praise them before me. Yeah, praise them before me. Everything all right? I'm just going to the store. Do not contact. No long conversation. But you're killing with proper behavior. And the children will follow. They must follow that in school. Okay? Because when they do come, they're not going to always come to the church or your job. You know where they're coming? To the school. And it's already been tested. From America all the way to Russia. They kidnap everybody. Definitely the children. Because they've been preparing. And again, remember, this doesn't mean that they were Middle Eastern people or Asian people or African. Okay, he could be our own nephew. He has met, maybe he has been with the wrong kind of young men on the computer, thinking up crazy scenarios. So what you want to do in your own mind, understand that when they're going to threaten your life, your family, your children, that's the time to get what? Real. Okay, that is personal. So if you had to bite them, do so. I know you heard that. Did you see when I put my hand on brother's forehead? I didn't mean that for his forehead. What did I mean? Yeah. And you might say, well, suppose you got glasses on, it doesn't matter. When you stare real hard with your fingers, it's going to slide up under the glasses. It's going to get them a little bit. Keep in mind, I did my fingers like what? Not like the martial arts movie where they go, right? How do you know that these two fingers are going to get you? Right? Not necessary. Okay? So you make sure you start thinking. As I leave you, I wanted to make sure that at least you understood that it's okay to look after yourself. It's okay to fight. God requires it, actually. It is a requirement. So even if you're a child and nothing happens, it's going to happen when you get to be an adult. And fight doesn't mean like in a movie. Fight means maybe get somebody up off of you or off of your child. Right after high school and all the other boys already jumping in, what are you going to do? You're going to stand there and let them get stomped to death? Especially mothers, they're not. So you have to understand what we were doing just then. You peel them off. Jump right in there like you want to do it anyway. Peel them off. Knock this one this way, line them up. I just showed you how to line them up, right? Yeah. Oh, yes. And if you did have a weapon, that makes it even worse. Because you're probably going to get hit too. But anything that happens with terrorism, civil unrest, be prepared to first aid who? Yourself. You cannot cry and lay on the floor and say, I'm gonna. No, it should make you mad. You shot me. Okay? If you're in the kitchen at your house, you know everything. And some of the sisters have talked about these things. With the knives and the butcher knives. How many, come on, guys. The men need to know, how many sisters have thought of this before? And if something happens in your house, you know, you don't have to have a gun. You know what things are. And you will use them. And you use them. So now, here, soft tissue, neck, plus the throat is here. Okay, if you do your finger like this, what's going to happen? Right? Okay. Or the firefly. But
I don't know.
well, there, all right. Now, see, you got it? So now, soft tissue. Soft tissue. Here, there. Give my brother a hand. You already need it. All right, brother. Soft tissue. In all of the body, on top of your system, at the church, you get around his neck, soft body, as you can. Soft part of his leg. This is what? Knee. Knee him in the back of his knee. So that he will do what? What's going to happen when you knee in the back? Okay? Then you and your sisters, big brother, come hold him down, get him on the floor. And when you get him on the ground, or get her on the ground, flip him, turn over, and get him under control as you can. Because that's your life. So thank you. And again, I want you to get up off of your backside so that you feel good for the rest of this time. Thank you very much.
my preschool back then. So we're kind of running out of time, so I'm gonna tell you, good folks, to please, move it a little bit more. Either way around, I want to make sure that before we move on, that I let everybody know that on each table, you have the opportunity to stay in touch with us, okay? Sign in, please. When you sign in, at least on this one, you're going to give us your name. If you want us to send you emails about what's going on, what we're doing, what's going on in the city, state, put it there. And if you want text, phone number on this. So those are on each table, okay? Also in the back, we have our social action table. Our social action table right there where Tip is waving her hand, Kanika. Our social action table has a lot of great resources. Because of what's going on in our political situation, every time we get together with people, we do voter registration. But now we're telling you that you can do voter registration too, okay? Nobody has, it's not a magic thing to do, all right? So we got, even if you are registered to vote, guess what? We got some voter registration forms back there. Take some. When you're running into people, have them fill it out. Guess what? You gonna mail it, because you might not mail it. Okay? All right. Is that all my announcement to make right now? Social action, thank you very much. Okay. The next thing we're gonna move into, and this is probably gonna be, that was the exciting part, right? But this is maybe even more exciting, because this is what you need to know. And I'm going to ask our presenter, they can try to stick to about 5 minutes each as we do this section. Okay? We're gonna start off with Brother Terrence.
They say that 30% is still on communication. They said 30% of our success is knowledge. The other 70% is missing. We've gotten all this information that we got today. Now we need to put it into practice. Because having the knowledge and not putting it into work or putting it to work is not going to do a hell of things if we're not drilling, if we're not practicing, if we're not putting it in place. When you have these type of things that work, automatically, what do they do? You had to have those drills, once a month? We're going down the line. So the same thing should be in our household. Are we having the drills? Are we putting it into practice? And then after that, initiate it and just drill, baby, drill. Get muscle memory. One of the things that we have to do now that we have everything in place, those of us that's going to be in these positions to be in the leading position, they said that your body language and your tone communicates 70 to 80% to everybody else that's in the household. So we have to be positive. We have to be upbeat. We have to be that leader that you have to pull on in to make sure everybody else goes through this. So if you're all weak and what is that going to type of energy is that going to give the rest of the people that's in your household? So you have to be confident. You have to be upbeat. You have to know, even if you have to go to your quiet place in your own room and talk to the God within to make sure that He gives you the spirit that you need to make sure that you can get through the process of what you're going through. So communicating that with yourself and making sure that you can give that to everybody that's in the household is going to be very, very critical. Whatever you have to do to keep motivated, make sure that you keep your spiritual books. Make sure that you keep your motivating books. Make sure that you got your papers. Whatever song that you got to get you hyped up like you're going in the ring. You know what I'm saying? These are the things that we got to do to make sure that we keep it, because when it comes down, you got to know how much God you got within you, which He's given to all of us, how to pull in. And through all of that, you got to see persistence in prayer and patience. Because in COVID-19, they said a lot of people got divorced. I was essential worker, so I was at work. I know I get on my wife's nerves, like, why are you cleaning up? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? So I just said it's going to be trying. So we got to have patience. We got to make sure that we understand that we got to get through this thing and then communicate with each other, especially those with the household thing. We got to be able to communicate to make sure that we can communicate with each other to give that effectiveness to the people that's looking to us for leadership. You know, we were talking about getting through that window. Like Brother Lee said, yeah, we picked it away, but we could still do some Legs in the seat, right? We can move our legs, right? You may have to push up on that chair to see if you can push yourself through that window. It's not going to happen happenstance. You got to see where you are. Because why? As this thing go on and you're drilling, you may have to tweak a few things. If you're going through it the first time, and then it's going to be panic, it's going to be chaos. But if you've gone through it and you've drilled on it time and time again, what did happen or what couldn't happen or what did happen, maybe we need to tweak that a little more. So let's go ahead. Again, this is just so beautiful to see all of us here and to keep us engaged in the process. Usually people be walking out. But I see numbers still coming in. Yeah. So that's a good sign. And then to talk about, this doesn't need to be the last time because when it comes down to it, they ain't going to ask you to be Muslim, they're going to ask you Baptist. They see a black man and a black woman here, and we got to be our own brothers and sisters. So it starts with us. God is not going to change the position of the people until they change themselves. So you see where it's raining on one side of the street, the other side is dry? If we do what we're supposed to do on the side of the street, God will bless us with the rain. The other side going to be dry. It's already destined for us to be. We just got to come together and unify and know what we got. You, when I see you, I should see God in you, and you should see God in me. Throw all the rest of the crap out of the window. Pull from the God within, and let's go ahead and go to work. And I pray that we keep this going, sister. Thank you. Hey, be nice, let's do it.
All right, just to conclude my thing on fire safety. I spoke about this earlier, to have a go bag, especially have a little small lightweight bag with some little items in that in case of a fire emergency, you just grab your bag and go. Things to put in it would be like glasses for your eyes, spare car keys, medication or a list of your medication, on a index card, write some phone numbers down that you might have stored in your phone if you're unable to bring your phone, and an outfit, some sweats, t-shirt, just an outfit that you can wear just in case you don't have time to get to the club or to grab your things and go. So try to get one together. You don't have to be an expensive bag. You don't have to be Gucci or Louis or anything. Get your bag, even a Kroger bag. Try to keep your bag just in case something happens. Just grab and go. That way you'll be prepared if you use it. About smoke inhalation. The best thing to do if you're in an environment where there's a lot of smoke is simply just leave. There's no way you can breathe in there. I got 70 pounds of gear over there that helps me breathe in a smoke environment. And unless you have it, you're not gonna be able to breathe for too much longer in there. So I would say just leave, get out. Don't even worry about opening windows, opening doors. Just your loved ones and just simply leave. Chemical explosions. That was my last topic. With that, I mean, it's basically the same thing, man. I got a list of chemicals that I was gonna read out to you, but basically, I mean, unless you're trained how to handle chemicals, just leave. Just leave. You see a weird colored gas, you see a weird blue smoke, green smoke coming, that's not normal. Don't be that guy that walks towards it to see what's going on. Just simply leave. Certain gases are going to be colorless, odorless, carbon monoxide. You won't be able to smell it at all. If you walk into a room or you walk into an area or you drive by an area and you see people just laying on the ground in the hot sun, you go down the street, make a call. That's what's going on. Then you one of the bodies that's laying there. Again, unless you're trained, just simply leave. You know, if you need to call for help, go to a safe spot where you see birds flying and people talking, walking around. But they call there, you don't investigate it. Get to a safe area when you know if something's going on and this doesn't look normal over here, leave. Go to an area where it's normal. That's any type of emergency situation. To prevent any type of chemical explosion that might happen with your work or at home or at church or anywhere, just store them in the places that they're supposed to be stored. They'll have phone numbers on these chemicals. They usually have directions on those. Also, just be cognizant and read those and know what's going on. We'll have questions afterwards, so if you have any questions that you written down, I'm gonna say it over and answer the questions. I appreciate you all having me. You all be safe.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? So concluding what you need to know, practical skills, know what the plan looks like for your household, for each and every member of your household. Know yourself, that's most important. Know how you look if you hadn't had anything to eat, in a couple of hours. If you take medication, what does it look like you hadn't had your medication? Know what it looks like for your children. So they have their bag. I make them know that that's the weight they have to carry if we have to be on the go. As Brother Hines mentioned, that's their go bag. I've learned through different skills that I've watched and been a part of. They need to know how to blend in when we have civil unrest. Now, if you see their bags, they look like what? They got some boots in there, right? That's their go bag, as he's mentioned. And they got all the things that they need in there for at least 72 hours. So they have food in there. Didn't take out their clothes because I was like, they might not want you to show their clothes, but they have their own personal things that they need and they have to buy on their own. So practical skills is what I know. I also teach it to them. What you see on this table, everybody in my household has been trained on it. And if I'm the only one that knows how to operate this coal stove or this oil lamp or, the Mr. Buddy heater, or a sleeping bag, and I get sick or something happened to me, then they're not gonna survive. So the girls, we've all fire safety, right? So they know how to turn it on, turn it off. They know what the smell of gas looks like. They know all of the essentials that they need to know, right? I got my go bag, my husband got his, we got everything. Just a sample of when in the car, what does that look like in your car? You're trapped in your car in a snowstorm or tornado or something, if you can't get home, how you gonna make it in your car? So you need to have some type of go bag if you're walking, but you also need to have something if you're in your car. And of course, if you're in your home, know how to can. We learn how to can in our cooking class and that we have on Saturdays. You don't can every Saturday, but I'm saying that's where I learned it from. Canning this a while ago, right? Still looks good, So just know different little things for your household, if you're in the car, and if you're on the go. Just know how that looks. Know CPR, know some type of first aid training. So that's the most important thing I wanted to just, share with everybody. Just know how it looks, what survival looks for your household. What it looks like in the summertime, what it looks like, in the winter months, what it looks like when you're traveling. Yes, some stuff I do take when we travel. Not all of this, but some stuff I do. We're leaving. If I'm in the car, I may take more stuff, but if we're on the plane, there's certain stuff that I have. In case something happened, we're stranded in another city for a few days, and I don't get back like I intend to, I have that plan, right? What I tell the sisters is, know where the next person, the closest sister is to you, right? So we know who's in your area. That's important. If it's an emergency, and as Brother Demetrius mentioned, and Brother Terrence was talking about communication, I can't get to whatever, but this person right here is closest to me. How long of a walk is that? If I can't drive, how long would it take me to get to the closest person's home? So just kind of knowing that the closest relative, the closest person to you, are you able to walk? Have that plan with your family, discuss it. Me and my husband, we discuss it, we agree to disagree, let's just say that. We have 2 boys, right? It's real talk we discuss, right? We know how far the store is from where we live at, right? The closest store to our house, right? So I already got my game plan. Oh, I'm gonna send Bishop. I'm gonna send Hakeem. I was like, Hakeem gonna move slow. He said, yeah, but Hakeem gonna go and get the right stuff. That. I said, but Bishop is gonna go twice. He might get the wrong thing the first time, but he's gonna move faster. But that's knowing your household, So that's what we agreed to disagree. I'm gonna go, yeah, he might get the wrong thing the first time, but what I told my husband, we talk about it, they gonna come back together. Cause he done went twice. And his oldest brother just went there one time and just went to Walmart once, and the brother done made it back twice, and then they'll come back together with the right thing. So that's what I think when I say know your household. Know who can do what, right? I'm gonna send Bishop because he's gonna be fast. He's gonna send Hakeem because he's gonna get the right thing first time, right? Same thing with the girls, So just knowing what each person role is in the event of emergency. You don't want, I know they teach that in CPR. I took a CPR training course, a refresher course back in December, and that's what they, teaching us, somebody has to go call 911. Somebody is starting CPR. Somebody's doing the chest compression. So each person in your household needs to have a role that they play. So I'm going to turn it over to Brother for his conclusion.
Now, because in this society, again, everyone thinks about, just gonna hit that right away. When you're preparing yourself, you just have to think to yourself, number one, do you feel proficient with that? In other words, have you been to a class? Now, if you have a class and they just showed you how to operate it, now if they didn't tell you, they didn't have an extended course, then you have to extend yourself and go to an actual gun range. Okay? If you have one, okay, or you're gonna have one in the house. Once you see what that does to the targets, that's gonna make you think about your children, your grandchildren, and you really need to have some guidance for yourself before they come. Do you have a locking mechanism? Not just a safe, you gotta have a locking mechanism on the weapon itself. So there's a whole lot that comes with trying to do things in the movies. We don't want to count on it. If we believe in God, we know we don't have to. Yeah, ready? Okay, so now, if you have something like a fireman, or you just say you're working for a security company, highly touted, you tell the people, I work with so-and-so, could I help? If they say no, move on out. Okay? If I mentioned something about a suspect, person that's doing something wrong, and everyone has a time to get them down, make sure you what? Secure that person. If you have to sit on them, bottom line, secure them until the people get it. Okay. Communication, of course you use a cell phone, but when there's an actual disaster, you're going to need something more. Okay. So again, that ham course, all right, would be really important for you to have a short one. And then if you have any questions about it, everyone is pretty good now using YouTube. Get on there and see what you can get and how to operate it. Okay, if you did have a weapon, think about this. You're afraid in your house. You fire, now you have no more rounds. That's the first question. do I have the backup when C's gone? Okay? Capability means how do I get this around? So again, if you have a mindset that depends, your God is a gun, because the bad guys, the people that are doing things, you can't stop the freighters and say, excuse me, but you got some extra bullets. They're not gonna go there. You know, they're not gonna go there. So you make sure that you're capable. Oh, and if you are capable enough, the men of the house, the young, strong brothers, your neighbor, man, you all can handle that whole scene. Because what you want to do then is you want to make sure that whatever training you have, you put it to use in that situation. And you do it together. Do it together. No questions asked. The only thing, if you do it for try run, you may want to do things other than talk. Remember I mentioned something about if someone was a security guard or a police officer, off-duty fireman, they're going to have their hand to use for the work. So they must know they have to give directions with which hand. Their hand. Yeah, that's how you want to do that. Okay. Anywhere you point, at the end of that, there's life or the loss of life. And you're responsible for it. So this hand stays where it needs to be. You have to, bottom line, you give direction what? There. Okay? If the police see you and they slide on up, if they slide up in front of this building, more than likely, you know this person has been working too long. Kind of risk, he's putting himself in the line of fire. I'm going to stop 4 links down the street. When things happen for you, make sure you get those 2 things, cover and conceal. My word right there. When you hear movies and whatnot, and they say, take cover, that means they're going to get behind something that does what? Yes, it's going to stop the round. Okay. So if someone says, our cover for the day is that tater, that doesn't sound good. Every round we put the 22. Okay. But the idea is you find something that has some weight to it behind their ball. Then when the police come, you don't want to talk or you can't talk, they can see you, wave them in, and say, that's all you got to do. Because they want to know where the rounds are coming from. Because number one, they can't help you if what? If they get shot. Right? Okay. So now, what kind of situations that will bring this about? An ambush is something that's a surprise attack. That means that someone that's highly talented is in your city. It doesn't have to be a politician. It could be some type of entertainment. It comes to your neighborhood in everybody's house. So someone wants to cause a big problem, especially between black and white. And that's a well-known rapper. Just put out the new record, and he's doing real good, and everybody wants to support him. Then if they wanted to start something, that would be what they do. They have yet to tell anyone. You'll find out later, there's more to it than our president having died. Don't you ask the question to yourself, when are they going to talk about it? And when people are having these situations in every major city where the young black men are shooting, that's nothing new actually. They're making it like it's new. Because the media makes money. They have more viewership. And many times, they know that years ago, when we were starting a group activity, we would get someone we didn't like, taken to the other side of town and thrown out of the car. Because he had on all, we'll just say people. Okay? Because they know he lives far away and someone's going to hurt him because of what he had on. Now, does that just mean another ill-mannered child? No, it could be law enforcement. That's not what law enforcement is made for, but some of them have done things. You know, they're warring tribes, they just shot someone at the funeral. The funeral? So when they see someone like that thrown out of a car, and that's the people that they say that's from. Yeah. So what you want to do is make sure no one is ambushed. If they're sitting up in the car, you want to know why. Do you walk up to the car yourself? No. No. That's why you got 911. Okay? Oh, by the way, if you don't call 911 and you don't have callings other than something that's a domestic, your response that you'll need for something that's really bad might be a little slow. And it has nothing to do with the dispatchers. No. It's with the people that work. Common humans that said, man, that's them again. Those ends, whatever, okay? That's them again. Okay, take your time. If the rookie is driving the car, he's definitely gonna say take time. Why? He's showing off. He's showing off, and that's them. Remember we went there 2 nights. Okay, so you make sure that you don't, they call it a hybrid. Okay. Primary purpose of the ambush is what, hurt or kill? It's a kill. So now everybody that watches the news and presentations, documentaries, put yourself in that situation. Because those people had not done that themselves, and now they are victims. They're victims now. They make national news because they are dead, or harmed real bad, or it's their family member. Okay. Was that a signal? Okay, thank you. All right, because I'm getting close. So let me just tell you those things. Concealment, cover, escape. So sister has the walkthrough. She's going to tell you which doors to go through, to leave, this, that, and the other. If she asks for a particular person to help her, it's because you know something about you. So if you're a good walker and you do a lot of walking around here, like a speed walk, or you're, although you're in your 70s and you can still run, you might pass me, but you go down that wing and knock on every door with at least see smoke. Okay? And that smoke alert can be anything else. So she knows our people. And when we leave, you want to start acting on that. And if some reason that you want to see a person like me again, you have to have patience, number one. But it's also a business when you talk to people, especially our people. Because half the time you know that we don't want to pay each other. But someone else will come and you're going to pay everything, including your attention. Right? But bottom line is, if you want more, my wife has some cards. There's a website on it. The website is like me, it's retired. Most everything on the website I retired from, but still, I'm here with my brother. And if they want to use me, sisters want to use me, I want to make myself available because God requires it. Yes, we can. Thank you very much.
We had a collection of talent here today. But y'all, this is getting a whole nother level of talent. Now, there's the things I'm going to highlight. I'm going to just go ahead and open the floor right now. I know we have some questions over here, but we're going to give y'all a few minutes to ask questions and get your questions answered. Ms. Betty, you don't have a question this time?
I got mine, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Make sure we record your question on YouTube.
To Jermaine about the smoking place. I've always heard, okay, if you have smoke in your house, you have to, it's best for you to get down low and to crawl out. Is that right?
That is right. That is right. There's a lot of smoke, especially if it's thick and black. Get down low and crawl out. But if you can crawl out your house in 20 seconds, or you can run out your house in 2, I will hold my breath and run out. That's a good thing. That's how we're trained to search. When we enter a home and there's a lot of smoke, we train to get low, search, and crawl around like that. But yeah, that's definitely a good tip. But you can run out even faster. I just run out and hold my breath. But yeah, definitely if we're coughing When the smoke's getting into your eyes, go ahead and get low.
Excellent question. Any other questions? So we are all prepared to, who remembers the three on three rule? What you call that? The rule of three. Who remembers the rule of three? Come on, tell me what the rule of three is. If we don't get anything today, get this rule of three.
It's about 3 weeks without food and 3 days without water.
3 weeks without food, 3 days without water. That's serious.
This question is for Officer Karen. Do you have information about where to take the HEM classes? HEM radio classes.
Microphone.
Make sure that you use your apps, and when you get to the state government, you want to look up the things that have to do with, you could actually put civil unrest on it. Okay. You can put the word terrorist, and then those types of things, when it's communication, they'll come up. And most people don't bother with it because they think it's going to cost them. It's free. Okay. And the program called CERT is free. And every good organization should have wherewithal to at least send one person to get qualified. So that when they get information, they shoot at you.
Thank you, thank you. And how do you spell that ham? How do you spell that ham class you was asking? How do you spell that?
Oh, it stands for something,
Yeah.
but it's HAM, like ham radio,
Okay.
and it's a short. So the short wave in, that's the program.
Okay.
Short wave in is
The shortwave radio. All right, we are down to the last 30 minutes of this wonderful exchange of information today. I hope we all feel better. I mean, we all feel probably like we got a lot of work to do, right? But let's not waste time. Let's go ahead and do it because we just came out of another unexpected emergency in January. I'd say it's about 6 months up now, right? So I'm sure that we can expect another one. I want to call your attention to a few things, okay? I want to segue now into the political situation because this is the Social Action Committee that is sponsoring this event today, and we are all aware of the injustices that have taken place in Tennessee, and we are residents of Tennessee. I want to bring your attention to a few things on the Social Action table. And this is on the table. This is on the table when you get ready to go out. This is the Final Call newspaper, okay? The Final Call. This is a newspaper that when we put a corner over there, they're giving it away, okay? I always get a Final Call. Why? Because this news is not fake news, okay? Now, when we had that gentleman who is our president start talking about fake news, I said, who has fake news? But there is fake news now, okay? And I think that he was the birthright of that fake news. But either way around, this is the real news. And right on the front, it says, no trust, no peace. Once again, off again, off again, negotiations between the U.S. and Iran are ongoing as Israel's attacks on Lebanon and Gaza among major obstacles for agreement and resolution, okay? I want you to know, inside this paper, there's the Carmelo Anthony trial information. There's all kind of good stuff, okay? So grab you one of those as you leave. But most importantly, when you come up on the corner, don't avoid these brothers. These brothers don't see it. This is the real news. I also want to bring your attention to, on our table, we got a lot of resources that you really need to know about. On this voting thing, we got voter registration forms for you to take. We also have expungement instructions. So many of our brothers and sisters do not vote because of a felony or a criminal record. I will tell you, the laws of Tennessee have made it so difficult to get your records expunged. It's easier to get your gun rights before you get this expunged. So there are certain people who have taken it upon themselves in our community to become experts in this. I thought one of them was going to be here this morning, but she called at 5 something this morning, and she had lost her brother. That was Cheryl Huff from the National Action Network, NAN. But grab these because this gives you instructions to the Music City Community Court. We have judges, African-American judges now. Robin Kimbrough is among them, okay, who are working to help us get our records expunged. All right. We also have the Metro Council roster. So, Ginger, what are you here? Okay. Because our council members need to hear from us when they're thinking about putting a, what causes thing you're talking about putting North Nashville? The data, yes, I'm a Fiskite. I'm a Fiskite, and I have been against the data center since I heard about us considering putting it on our campus, okay? They go to the underserved communities where we would accept money and things like that. And you heard about all the things that are harmful. So guess what? We got to call everybody on this list. Tell them we're not for this. Because the folks near the Nashville Zoo, oh boy, they've been going down to couch meetings. Okay? And so Justin Pearson just stood up the other day in front of this and did a All right. We also have a list of resources. This hot pink paper is a list of resources. There are people in this community who are really on the leading edge of social action. Now, this list was put out in August, so there may be more that are on here that should be on here, and there's some links that we can add them on here. But grab this because these are some great places to go for information. Punchbowl News, I don't know if y'all heard of that. Punchbowl News is fantastic. It's online. It gives you the real deal on what's going on. We also have the Tennessee Republican Party on here. Why? Because whether you're Republican or not, you need to know what's going on. Okay? So grab one of these. Also, we have little purple sheets for you. Our social action committee, our web page is now under great construction. I'm going to use that to segue to by Santana Global. Who is Santana Global? Y'all might see some of these. That's right. The gentleman back there, Matthew, Matthew Santana, okay? This is his company. And I mean, I can't tell you, I don't know what Matthew doesn't do. Matthew, you want to say a quick word? On the front of his brochure, it has empowering vision, driving success. Okay? Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Reverend Dr. Matthew Santana. I help people become themselves after domestic violence, after sexual assault. Help them heal within themselves first before opening themselves to someone else. And I do that through writing, through film, through just about everything that I do.
He walked in here the first time, and he got it going right there. You know, my laptop, I don't know how to do some of that stuff, and I kept coming up here. He does all the technical stuff. All right. Yes, we are blessed to have him. The final announcement I'm going to make up here about that table back there, and I want y'all to make sure y'all go to that table. The final announcement is to make sure you grab one of these little brochures about our church, CME Church. We have worship services at 9:55 a.m. You know, that means get here in time for 10, right? But our church is a wonderful church, and our church has always been on the cutting edge of social action in this community. Not really remember how many years our church is. What's the age of our church? 110 years old. Our church is 110 years old. Okay? We've had many of the relapses. Not free, but was free riders? Yes. We have freedom riders who members of this church, judges, all those kind of folks came through this church. And so we are in the process of trying to revive that spirit. Amen. So please grab one of these, and we would love to have you. I think that's it. The last thing I'm going to do is open up the floor for anyone who wants to come say a word. Come on.
I know Ginger mentioned this already, but we want to be sure to thank you all for coming. So by all means, please put your information on here. We know it also says stay in the loop, but we want to be sure to thank you for coming today. And please put your information on these forms. Thank you.
Amen. So I'm going to open the floor right now. Brother Terrence, who I've known for an endless number of years, right? The other day, he was in my office and he said some things that really caught my attention, okay? About this political thing of what we're going through and what God is allowing to happen. And, Brother Terrence, if you would come share a few words, and then if anybody else has anything they want to add.
Yeah. Yes, I was just mentioning to Sister Ginger that you're looking at the climate and we're asking why is it happening? And God is allowing it to happen.
Right.
Pharaoh had a hardened heart. He allowed it to happen. So when you look at it the way it is, and everything is being pulled away from us, we all we got. And so when you look at it, God is trying to make us fall in love with each other all over again. You are the real children of Israel. You are God's chosen, whether you want it or not. So until we accept our own and be ourselves, we're going to continue to get lambasted. We're going to get things taken away from us. But you have to understand that you are the answer to all your problems. Our unity is more powerful, Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, than a hydrogen bomb. We used to be together. So God will continue to help us and do things to us until we come together. As it was in the beginning, so it shall be in the end. So we got to quit looking at our youth as being a problem. They came from you. They came from us. My grandmother didn't give a doggone. She's like, you can act a fool if you want to. There was no fear in her to let her children know if you come up in here, you got to do it. We got to love them the same way, but love them hard and love them firm. And let them know with the right proper guidance, we could take that negative energy and put it with the right guidance and turn it into good energy. So, like the sister opened up, it's not a time to be fearful. It's not a time to be scared. We should be rejoicing. That this time is almost up, and now it's our time to shine. Will we get there together? No. But if I know my babies can get there because I made the sacrifice, then you would be written in the history books in the Bible and everything else that's come down. There being the sacrificial people that took the cause of what God had came to give us to change this thing around. So quit looking from everybody else to do what we could do for ourselves. Because if not, we're going to have to suffer the consequences.
Else who wants to share a word? All right. I have one more announcement. I don't know what y'all are doing this evening. And Matthew has disappeared on me because I had some music I wanted to play. But I don't know if y'all know that our Crystal Miller, who was just up at the microphone a moment ago, is our local singer star. And tonight, her band.
Aw, thank you.
Tonight, she didn't know that was going to be up there. Tonight, her band will be playing at the Bellevue Jazz and Blues Festival. Okay, so we're pretty excited about that. So don't meet me there. Don't meet me at work. Don't meet me don't meet me. So that's tonight. I don't know what you're doing, but it's nothing like going out and enjoying some live music. And her band's fantastic. Finally, I'm going to announce, and I forgot to ask Matthew to help me upload that slide. It's in there. We want to invite everybody. June 17th, 18th, and 19th. Okay. There is a national. I know I can't find the slide. July. Excuse me. Thank you. July 17th, 18th, and 19th. Okay, is a national voter engagement movement. It's called the John Lewis Good Trouble Lives On. Okay, Good Trouble Lives On, and this was kicked off last 2-3 weeks ago down in Selma on the John Pettis Bridge. Y'all probably heard something about it. I don't know how the connections are being made, but they're working hard. Okay, they want everybody in the country on July 17th, 18th, and 19th to, get voters engaged. The theme is teach, reach, preach. Teach, reach, preach. I said teach, reach, and preach, okay? Because a person who does not understand the law is not going to advocate for the law. And I don't know how many of you have run into voters who say they don't vote for the vote, okay, right? So teach, reach, and preach. Here at St. Luke CME Church on July 18th, that's Saturday, we will be doing a big event, okay? That event will be a voter event. We're going to have all the candidates here at that time, food, all that good stuff on the front line, so folks can see us. Don't do stuff in the back, and back there, on the front line. We're going to be here on July 18th. So please take one of those little purple sheets like this. Keep your eyes on our site because that is going to be going up soon, okay? We're also going to be doing a John Lewis vigil, okay? Here at our church, we actually do a Black History moment every Sunday because we are removing the Black history from our schools. You know, the books aren't even there anymore, okay? So every Sunday, we're teaching Black history here at the church, okay? So the month of July will be John Lewis month, all right? And so we'll be doing a vigil as well. I think that's all I have. I want to thank you all for coming. Any comments, anybody, for YouTube, Facebook? Y'all, please give our panelists another big round. And I think that this little girl is packing some snacks to go. That's right. All right. Thank you so much. That's what it was. Come on and tell us what you got. We actually have some wonderful giveaways here from the system.
So we just have a table over here, so please make sure you come by. What Sister Kimberly Muhammad spoke about, the shut-in list, the go bag, the vehicle, you can get this list right here, as well as some other items that you can pick up and take with you, okay, the time you started on your way. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so we got two places to visit. This table and the social action table. And, Matthew's got a table over at you? Come on, Matthew. All right. Santana Global. Thank you so much. And that's okay. You got to go back and look at all that great stuff over there as well. All right. Thank you so much. I wish.